App Solutions in minutes. In our last video, we went ahead and provisioned slash deployed a brand new PowerApps portal. That is still in progress. However, we now are going to be able to cover some of the fundamentals of administering that portal before we actually start diving into those concepts that feed into surfacing Dataverse information from Dynamics or Power Apps into that portal and interfacing with that. So, with that being said, we're inside the Power Platform Admin Center, which is admin.powerplatform.microsoft.com. And under the Resources tab, there's a Portal section. So when you go to Portals, we now have this portal, and it says it's configured, but it's still spinning up. And I have a trial for 30 days. That's more than sufficient to create some content here. So what I'm going to do here is click these three dots and click Manage. And there's a couple things we can do here. Obviously, we can edit the name of the portal instance. We can convert the portal from a trial to a production so that that instance is no longer terminated or expired after 30 days. We have an application ID. We'll talk about that in other videos. And we also have our base portal URL. We have a portal audience of customer. Our portal state right now is on. Um, what this means is that the portal is available, meaning it's accessible via the internet right now. If we were to turn this off, then the portal would be completely gone. And sometimes when you're troubleshooting, you do turn off the portal and then you turn it back on and then everything starts spinning up again properly. Let's talk a little bit about portal actions. So one of the key troubleshooting steps when you're having any issues with portal caching or um, user experience um, issues like strange .NET errors popping up on your portal or registration issues, you can restart the portal, and all that really does is just fundamentally, power cycle the portal per se, right? And so sometimes you just have to turn it off and turn it back on, right? So similar concept to turning the portal off and on that we were talking about, but it's just a button as opposed to a toggle. You have the ability to update the Dynamics 365 URL. So if you had multiple instances, in this case I only have one Dynamics instance, then you could point it, to a different instance. Where you might use something like this would be like, say you have a dev environment, QA, pre-production, or UAT, um, and a production environment. You might have a portal for every single one of those environments. And so you would want to make sure that your portal is bound to the proper Dynamics instance, and that's where you could do this. You have the ability to install the project service automation extension for the portal field service extension. That just means it'll install some managed solutions from Microsoft, give you access to some of those Dataverse entities. You get a public key for the portal. We'll talk about that in later videos. Latest metadata translations. So what this button will do is essentially go into the Dataverse and pull and synchronize your portal with the latest metadata slash schema of your entire environment that's linked here, right? Um, you can disable custom errors. Um, I don't recommend disabling custom errors because these custom errors are very useful. You can enable diagnostic logging, which basically gives you, access to some additional um, error information about the server for your portal. You can reset the portal. Now, careful here. Reset normally, in my mind, means we're resetting the entire portal. We're nuking it and we're starting from scratch. That's not what this button actually does. Um, and in working with Microsoft for several years on these portals, what I've discovered is what this button does is actually restarts your portal by essentially setting up all the indices, um, every single thing that you had prior to, say you built out this beautiful, gorgeous portal and it's not working, and you have tried everything. Reset the portal. What that does is it basically takes that portal that you have, puts it somewhere in the cloud for a moment, deletes the portal while maintaining that other portal that you spent so much time on, and then it rebuilds it. It rebuilds all the indices. It rebuilds all the entity lists. It rebuilds all the stuff that should be there. Meaning, if you're missing a file that is breaking your portal, that file will be there again. And all your customizations will be there again when this is done. This process can take hours, but it has saved my life many times with clients. You can change the base URL of the portal. Um, and then maintenance mode is exactly what it sounds like. If you enable maintenance mode, then you can go in and make adjustments while your portal is offline so that you don't have to have people going in to the portal, but you still have access to be able to go in there as an administrator and make changes. Some of these other areas I'll just touch on lightly. This is where you would determine which Dynamics 365 instance you're bound to. So it's just telling you, hey, here's the Dynamics instance we're bound to. If you want to set up SharePoint integration, you can certainly do so. Very common. Power BI integration, if you want to expose data, and be careful with this, you want to expose Power BI information in your portal for your customers, whether they be businesses or people, etc. Then you can do that here. But from a security standpoint, you got to be careful in terms of how you implement that. Portal checker is kind of cool. Sometimes I use it. Um, Essentially, what it'll do is it'll just take a stab and take a look, and it's not bulletproof by no means. It'll take a look at your portal and tell you whether your portal meets MVP, and if it finds any issues, it'll let you know. Um, your portal authentication key, this is basically the key that governs how people can actually log in. And just know this is actually tied back to Azure Active Directory in the cloud. So just in a later video, we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then, if you are in like another country and your business is all in, I don't know, Brazil, for example, then you can set up IP address restrictions so that you don't allow hits from anywhere outside of the IP addresses that reside in Brazil. And that's all there is to it. So these are the key settings that we need to just understand fundamentally. And in our next video, we're going to start setting up some configurations of the portal. So thank you so much for watching.